Happy New Year. Happy New Year, nonprofit world. It's your boy Tommy D, the nonprofit sector connector. Two flights up from the kitchen where I get my coffee, but I'm actually drinking this mushroom coffee now. Shout out to Everyday Dose. I'm digging this mushroom coffee. It's not those kind of mushrooms, everybody relax, but it's the mushrooms that really help with the brain. And I've been drinking it for like last couple weeks now. So that's where I get my coffee downstairs in the kitchen. But then I walk up here to the attic where I do the show Philanthropy and Focus, where I really get to have the fun each week. And we're back. We were off for a couple weeks. It is the 10th of January, 2025. That's a weird thing to say because I remember when it was the year 2000 was coming, and that was 25 years ago. So that's a little crazy, but it is 2025. We are on our path approaching 200 episodes of Philanthropy and Focus. That's what the show is, Philanthropy and Focus. It is the show where I get to focus on the great work nonprofits are doing, helping nonprofit leaders tell their story and amplify their message. And to say I'm on the road to 200 episodes, or we're really on the road to 5,000 episodes, but to say we're closing in on 200 is kind of unbelievable for me because it's just an idea I had that I wanted to do, and I wanted to focus on helping nonprofits, as I say, tell their story and amplify their message. So I want to go over a couple things that I did this week, and then we'll get into today's conversation. But what I want to do is the first thing is it's Long Island Imagine Awards season. What does that mean? Well, the applications are in. We as the committee have selected the semifinalists, and I went out and interviewed two incredible women over at Nassau Community College, one of my alma maters, Nassau Community College, the Nest at NCC, which is a pantry. I mean, it's all things. It's a community center. There was folks there volunteering. Just kind of blows my mind all the time when I have these conversations. There's students on campus at Nassau Community College that have to make a choice between buying books and getting access to food. There's students that I found out that unfortunately are in school and are homeless, whether that means they're bouncing around from couch to couch, whether some folks are looking for shelter at night. It's just really unbelievable. That's right here, Long Island, Nassau County. And it's funny, I'm wearing my Hamptons Community Outreach hat because, many people around the world might think Long Island, that's like the Hamptons, right? The Hamptons and, all the bougie parties and stuff like that. Well, maybe, but it's also people with severe need, experiencing homelessness, experiencing food insecurity, and who need support. And that's why I was out there with two women from the Nest at Nassau Community College, one of the finalists in the Long Island Imagine Awards, Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. And then also, we had just yesterday, shout out to my new hoodie. It says here, Long Island Rocks. Shout out to the Hall of Fame, the Long Island Music and Entertainment Hall of Fame. And I love a hoodie, right? So I had to pick this one up, bought this hoodie. It was a well, if you know Long Island, you know who our only son, our only Long Island son, not our only, but, Long Island's own Billy Joel, the big exhibit on Billy Joel out there right now. A lot of stuff I was sitting there looking at because I like to show the hoodies when I wear them. So I took a picture of me staring up at a bust of LL Cool J with a big, like, glass tape, which is a cassette tape, which some of you folks are like, what's a cassette tape? Those are the same people who don't know what a record is or a record player. Although my younger daughter, she's 12 and she just got a turntable. So LL Cool J, now some folks are saying, well, Long Island, Tommy, LL is from Queens, Hollis, right? All right. Well, at the Long Island Music and Entertainment Hall of Fame, it's geographically Long Island. The folks decided it's Nassau, Suffolk, Brooklyn, and Queens. So if you look at a map, all of that is the island, Long Island. So then it got to meet some folks out there, went on a tour, picked up a new hoodie, just a great opportunity. My favorite part of the Long Island Imagine Awards is this opportunity where I get to go out and meet with these organizations. There's two more on my rotation that I get to go interview next week. Destination Accessible, which is my friend Roberta Rosenberg, who has been on the show here, and the Center for Environmental Education and Discovery out in Brookhaven, out here on Long Island. We get the opportunity to review the applications, to see who the semifinalists are going to be, and then we do a write-up. Those of us on the committee do a write-up that supplements the original application that goes to the judges. So I was looking at a timeline in about 3 or 4 weeks. The judges will have reviewed those applications and supplemental write-ups that I'm talking about, and then they will announce who the finalists are in the Long Island Imagine Awards in all 6 categories. And just to give you a heads up, if you are anywhere near Long Island and you want to connect and come out to an event where you could see the great work of nonprofit organizations on stage being spotlit, April 29th, 2025, Crest Hollow Country Club, which for us here on Long Island is like our backyard, right? Crest Hollow Country Club, and then obviously the New York City Imagine Awards is all already getting ramped up for this year as well. I was going to say next year, but it's not next year. It's 2025. So all that is in this year. Really what we're going to look to do is, aside from this show, I want to share some things. Since I had the opportunity with some extra time this morning to share this with you, I've launched a couple other projects. Long Island Changemakers, which is just like it sounds, is people doing incredible work on Long Island. We've put 3 episodes of that program live, got another 6 that have already been recorded, so those are coming out. And then the Passion Project, the big one for me, which you heard me talk about here on the program before. And I got the t-shirts made up. We got the hoodies in the works. We got the coffee mugs. I left them out in the car. I was going to bring one to show here on the show for everybody. But ending the stigma together. First 3 guests will be recorded this coming Friday, and that is going to be people who are on the front lines and this conversation about ending the stigma around the conversation of mental health and mental illness. We need to have these conversations. Absolutely, in my opinion, mandatory that we have these conversations to address what is necessary to make the change, to show that compassion. I did forget one other thing. Well, I forget a lot of things, I'm sure, but I also visited with some friends, my friend Prashant Gupta and my friend Jeff McQueen over at Mental Health Association in Nassau County. Was with them this Wednesday. Got to go on a tour of the incredible facility. It's a 150 employee company that is on the front lines, as I say, here on Long Island, working in the mental health space. So just a lot of stuff going on in the nonprofit sector, a lot of work that I'm involved with, and it's an exciting time to be here with nonprofit organizations. So we have a guest that'll be coming up very shortly, Katia Conti from the Daniela Conti Foundation will be here shortly, probably when we come back from a quick break. But I just want to reiterate the importance of nonprofits and getting involved in your community. It's incredibly important for you as individuals, you as business owners, to partner up with nonprofit organizations, to find organizations that resonate with you. At last count, here in New York, at least in New York City, there's 36,000 nonprofit organizations that represent so many different needs and so much impact. I'm really connected to the mental health space. It's important to me. I'm also connected very highly to the population of organizations that are focusing on individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities. 2 things, mental health and the IDD population or different abilities or disabilities, very important to Tommy D, very important to the work that I'm trying to do in the sector and make an impact. So I just encourage people to go ahead, get involved in your community, make those interactions, make those connections. Maybe something might be resonating with you and you want to join a board of directors and get involved in that way. Maybe it's something where you have the opportunity to partner up for your business and bring your employees out to do a volunteer day of service. I was talking to my friend Danny Taylor. She was one of the guests on the recent show, Long Island Changemakers. And Danny has taken her company, which is in the real estate space. She's a real estate producer and she has a team of real estate producers. And she's taken the mission of her foundation, Team YOLO Strong Foundation, and partnered up where for every home that organization or that team over at the real estate office sells, they will generate revenue that will go back to the foundation. So a lot of opportunities out there to collaborate, to connect with nonprofit organizations and make an impact in the work that resonates with you, that maybe it's similar to organizations like in our family with the Lindy Lou Foundation. Out of tragedy comes opportunity. So we're going to wait a couple minutes and I'm going to we'll probably take a break right now just to see how things are going with my guest and see if we're going to get her over here logged into the Zoom, get the meeting going. So at this point, Jesse, let's take a quick break, and we'll be right back. Tommy D, Philanthropy in Focus.
Are you a conscious co-creator? Are you on a quest to raise your vibration and your consciousness? I'm Sam Leibowitz, your conscious consultant, and on my show, The Conscious Consultant Hour, Awakening Humanity, we will touch upon all these topics and more. Listen live at our new time on Thursdays at 12 noon Eastern Time. That's The Conscious Consultant Hour, Awakening Humanity, Thursdays, 12 noon on talkradio.nyc.
Are you a high-achieving, growth-oriented leader? Are you interested in developing your authentic leadership while creating a healthy, inclusive workplace? Hi, I'm Dr. Mira Brancu, host of The Hard Skills on talkradio.nyc at 5 p.m. Eastern on Tuesdays, where we discuss how leaders develop the hard skills needed to make a greater impact. We interview experts, have live coaching, and tackle these challenges. Listen to The Hard Skills on Tuesday at 5 p.m. Eastern on talkradio.nyc.
You're listening to Talk Radio NYC. Uplift, educate, empower.
Nonprofits need connections to move in good directions. So cut through all the static. Join Tommy in his attic.
Through the static, join in his attic. Shout out to Mick Collins. Yo, Mick Collins, my boy, my guy. Although we disagree on which are the better baseball teams here in New York, shout out to Let's Go Mets, Let's Go Mets. But Mick Collins AI is awesome. I know we're all afraid of like Terminator 2 and all that sort of stuff. I'm not really afraid of it, but I know some folks are. But AI is great. So I've been telling people on the show here that we're thinking about redoing the song. We're thinking about making it a little different, changing it up a little bit. So I got two things. It was my birthday earlier this week. So I got two things from Mick, two texts, audio text that were songs of, and it's, dude, so many different ways to use the word attic in a song. I was laughing. One was like a reggae tune. So shout out to Mick. I don't know what we're going to do, man. I don't know how. I mean, my daughter is an aspiring singer, or she is a singer, but she wants to be the next Taylor Swift. And I don't know if, it seems like computers are making the music. I don't know what's going on. Gang, reach out to me, TommyD.NYC on Instagram, if you want to talk about AI or anything else. Look, my guest, Katia Conti, is here. The organization is the Daniela Conti Foundation. Katia, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Tommy. How are you? Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you. You're settled? You're feeling good? We got some stuff to talk about today.
Yes, feeling good this morning. And it's Friday. Happy Friday.
Friday to you. We're all here. Everything's right. Let's get after it. So what I was, I was just talking and, just kind of getting everybody up to speed with some of the things I had the opportunity to do in the last week or so as it relates to the nonprofit sector. I met with a friend of mine yesterday, and he asked me to write an article for his magazine as it relates to the work I'm doing in the nonprofits. And it's just so cool. I'm getting these cool opportunities and to really shine a light on the work nonprofits are doing. You and I were connected for the sheer fact that you are friends with friends of mine, and they saw what you and your organization are doing and what your family is doing, and they were like, oh my God, Tommy D, you got to know Katia. Oh my God. And then there was like not one, but two people, right? And then after that, you and I were talking the other day. After that, we have somebody else in common who's like, do you know each other? So like, that's the thing about networking, connecting. That's why I call myself the nonprofit sector connector. For me, it's all about the relationships, right? You know that as a newly formed organization, that it's all about getting folks on your board. It's all about getting folks to donate, getting folks to come out to support the organization. As we talked about earlier in this week, you have a story to tell. And I usually say, well, what drew you to the nonprofit sector, or what made you go into this work? In your scenario, in this case, as a legacy and memory, the story is a little different. So maybe can you tell us a little bit about you and your story and how and why this organization exists and the work you're doing?
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Tommy. So this all started back in the fall of 2016. Prior to that, I worked for corporate America. I was in corporate for about 20 years, I worked for the pharmaceutical company Pfizer. I had a great career. I had a family. I was married for almost 10 plus years. And then I kind of resigned back in, if I recall, back in 2015, because I was pregnant with my third child. And I actually was pregnant with twin boys. I had already had two girls and I was pregnant with twin boys. And I wanted to be a stay-at-home mom. I resigned after 18-year career. I just wanted to be a stay-at-home mom. My oldest daughter, Daniela, who the foundation is named after, was starting kindergarten. We moved into a brand new home. Life was great. And then, fast forward a year later, back in 2016, my twins had just turned one in the summer in July. And, in September, life throws you a curveball, and we found out our daughter was diagnosed with cancer, pediatric cancer, in the fall of October of 2016. She was complaining about a stomach ache. As a mom, as a parent, you don't really think of anything or even the C word, right? Cancer, belly ache, mommy, my belly hurts. You don't think of the C word. And, you say to yourself, oh my God, is this something that I cooked? It's hurting her stomach. Maybe it's just the flu. And then coming home from pumpkin pinking with my family, because it was a tradition of ours in October, because this happened in Halloween. She just kind of dropped dead on the floor. We were kind of scared, and it was like, oh my God, like, what do we do? And my husband, at the time, being in the medical field, kind of felt her belly. He's like, Daddy, Daniela, where does it hurt? Where does it hurt? Point to Daddy where it hurts. And he actually felt her liver with his bare hands, being in the medical field, because he had to study, body parts. And he turns around to me and he goes, her liver's enlarged. And I said, what are you talking about? He was like, her liver's enlarged. He's like, we need to take her to the closest hospital. I was like, no, 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 this is crazy. What are you talking about? Maybe take her to the bathroom. Maybe she was just constipated. You just don't know. He's like, no, we need to go to the emergency room now. So being in a brand new neighborhood, on Long Island, didn't know any neighbors, didn't know the closest hospital. Our closest hospital was at the time St. Catherine's of Siena here in Smithtown. And, they ran scans overnight. They did MRIs, PET scans. And after being there over the weekend, I was home with my other young children, because I have to, be home with my children. I had younger children at the time and I had twins. I had another daughter. I didn't get to see her. So I was kind of on the phone with my husband, and he goes, what's going on? What are the doctors telling you? And the scans come back, the MRIs and the PET scans, and they say, we sorry to tell you, but we need to rush you to the emergency room now at Stony Brook Children's. So they actually go there in an ambulance, and they run scans overnight. This is like going into Sunday night. And Monday, we don't hear anything. Tuesday, I go see her, and she's in the room. She's in the room, and I'm talking, Tommy, she has a size of a basketball inside her belly, which meant that, the tumors were already growing in her stomach, because they say, when you're 5 years old, your hormones, and you kind of grow at that point. So like the tumor was very silent. So it kind of triggered it as she was growing. So it became alive. The tumor was actually, alive, and it was growing all over her body. So fast forward, going into the hospital, finding out from doctors what's going on. We thought it was just blood thinners, didn't think of cancer. We call our pediatrician to let him know what was going on. And then here comes Wednesday, and they put me in a conference room. Test comes back, and they say, sorry to tell you, your daughter has cancer. You're in a room with doctors, not knowing what they're going to say. And when they say cancer, you turn around and you say, do you have the right child? Not my child. You sure you have the right child? What do you say at that point? Because me growing up, cancer didn't exist, or if it did, not, many children were diagnosed, but, you would never think your own child. We're talking about a 5-year-old, healthy, perfectly little girl who was so excited to start kindergarten and make new friends. And here we are, in the hospital getting this diagnosis. And on top of all that, we thought it was leukemia, because everyone hears of leukemia. Leukemia is a more common cancer. But when they throw this word at you, rhabdomyosarcoma. It's a cancer we have never heard of. It's a rare cancer, and I hate to say the word rare, Tommy, because childhood cancer is not rare. So you hear of the word rare, which means that only about 400 to 450 kids get it, in the US basically. And it's a cancer we have never heard of. You're typing this word and you're Googling it on the computer and you're looking at it, and statistics wise, it's like, the chemo drugs, this is what you have to go through, the survival rate. It's scary. It's very scary. So I go to my husband and I turned around and I say, okay, what is it going to take to save her life? And we followed doctor's protocol. They gave us this handbook that we had to learn and all these chemo treatments. And, she said, let's do it. Let's fight this. And we're very fortunate, Tommy, because if we would have brought her in 2 days later, the doctor said she would have actually been dead
Oh my God.
because these tumors had already spread throughout her entire body. And they actually had to start chemo immediately and put a port in, explain to a 5-year-old, explain to her, from being in a classroom and now waking up in a hospital, getting a port in and starting chemo. It's like, all these medications that they're throwing in her, and you're waking up and it's like, why am I in this hospital? So she had to grow up really fast as a 5-year-old. And, her dad and I had to explain to her, what she had to go through. And, we're showing her pictures on the phone, like, your hair's going to fall out. It's going to be okay. Mommy and daddy are here for you. It's a scary world, I have to say, not only for parents, but for the child.
You know, thank you for your candor and telling the story. And childhood cancer is not rare. And I have a friend of mine who founded an organization, the Dom Heart 21 Foundation, in memory of her son Dominic. And it's about sudden cardiac arrest. Dominic died at 17 on the campus of on the basketball court at SUNY Farmingdale out here on Long Island. And sudden cardiac arrest is not rare. Childhood cancer is not rare. We got to have this dialogue. We got to use the right words. You know, Katya, you start to say that you have to explain this to this 5-year-old. That's part of the challenge. The challenge is you and your husband are dealing with this new information and don't have the time to maybe prepare it or understand it because you're going through your own trauma of the realization of this diagnosis, right? So it's not just like, okay, well, now we have to explain it to this little girl. It's incredibly challenging for you to be dealing with the news.
Yes, I agree. What do? You got other children. She wasn't the only child. You just had to come up with a plan. We really didn't have a plan. We just went day by day. That's basically, Tommy, what you have to do. We were fortunate enough that she didn't have to be in the hospital for treatment. She was actually an outpatient. So we were very fortunate in the first year that she had to get these treatments. She was considered an outpatient. So I was her full-time caregiver. Now that I was a stay-at-home mom, I had to think about, oh my God, who's going to take care of my other children? I had twin boys. I had twin boys at home that needed care.
Boy,
And I had a 2-year-old girl who needed care. What do you do at that point when I was their mom and I was there? What do you do? What do you do?
how old were the boys? The boys, you're
The boys had just turned 1 because you have to remember I had given birth to them a year prior, in 2015 when I resigned, I was pregnant with my third and they were twins and they had just turned 1. And one, we celebrated a milestone. I had a 2-year-old daughter at the time too. And, Daniela was just starting kindergarten. She was just, what do you do? What do you do when, oh my God, my other children need me. I have to be here full time. Luckily I had family and I had my mother-in-law who actually had to move in full time to take care of my children. They were still going to school pre-K. Someone had to pick them up. Someone had to cook dinner for them. What do you do when I'm full time at the hospital, not knowing if I'm going to come out of there alive with my daughter? When she was diagnosed, Tommy, I didn't mention this earlier, but she was in the hospital for 6 weeks. Didn't know she was going to come out of there alive. And I didn't know she was on more. I can't tell you what she was on. She was hooked to this machine with IVs and fentanyl patches, you name it. What do you do? What do you do when you see all these narcotics that are given, to your 5-year-old where she should be in school, enjoying kindergarten. Meanwhile, I'm in the hospital, not knowing if she's going to come out of there alive. And we were in there, Tommy, for 6 weeks because I have to tell you, her stomach was the size of a basketball. Like she had a baby in her belly because of the tumors that was pressing up everything inside her organs. And, she was in there. She was there for 6 weeks. And, we started chemo right away. I didn't even know what kind of chemo treatments they were using. It was just poison, Tommy.
Yeah,
Poison.
yeah, we'll talk about that because you know what? You've told me, about the work that what you've learned about these drugs and how bad these drugs are for adults. And then you take these drugs and again, I'm not an oncologist, I'm not a doctor, I'm not judging. However, these things are toxic and they're toxic for big people and even more toxic for little people, right? I mean, if they're going in and kill the cancer cells, they take away a lot of the they take away a lot of the good, healthy cells with that, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Um, so tragically, you lost your daughter.
Yes. After a 4-year battle, after a 4-year battle, relapse after relapse, we lost her a week before COVID. She passed away on March 2nd, 2020. So this year will mark our 5-year anniversary that she's passed.
I'm incredibly sorry for your loss. My condolences. No parent should lose a child. We know that. It's terrible. This little girl, though, for 4 years, she must have been really fighting. I don't know if that's the right word, right? Because, but she was.
I would say more of a warrior,
Yeah.
because she was a warrior. She didn't want to let go. She fought tooth and nail to stay alive. And to see her body frail and having her stay alive for us wasn't fair to me and my husband. We had to tell her, that it was okay to let go,
Oh,
not to be scared,
how do you say that? How do you even get to that, Kathy? How do you get to that point to be able to say that?
Yeah, she kind of knew, Tommy, it's hard to explain this, but she kind of knew, you know, uh, she was just a smart cookie, at a 5-year-old, and she kind of knew, that her body too couldn't handle it anymore. What do you do at that point, And we told her, it's okay, we're here for you. It's okay to be scared. Mommy and daddy are here for you. That's all you can do is, comfort and hold her hand. And you're there crying along with her. I wish it was me sometimes, because I already had my life. I was in my early 40s. She had a whole life ahead of her. What do you do? What do you do? There are no words. There are actually no words.
No, there aren't. And it's always to me incredible to have these conversations with families like you who have decided out of this tragedy and the loss to find an opportunity to create something to impact other families who are having similar experiences. And that's what you have done with this foundation. And that's what we're going to talk about. We're going to take a break. We come back. It's going to be about why did you decide that it was important to create something? Not every family who loses a child does this. And the interesting thing, I don't even realize that I have this lavender marker that I was jotting notes with. And Phil Maltagati, who's a friend of ours, yours and mine, introduced us. And he introduced us via email. And when I went to your website, it was the lavender purple butterflies. And I said, Katya, I don't know you, but in an email I said this, and I don't like to type emails. I'd rather have a 10-minute conversation, but it probably took me 20 minutes with my 2 fingers to type the email. But I said, you don't know, but like the Lindy Lou Foundation in memory of my cousin Linda, check out our website. It's the butterflies. It's the same butterfly, not same, but maybe there's a connection here. And my aunt and my cousin founded the Lindy Lou Foundation out of Linda's loss. And now it's a legacy to Linda, all the work we do in the IDD population, all the money we raise. And you have an incredible legacy to tell everybody about too. So when we come back, I want to hear about why you decided as a family that this was important to give back and do this and create this foundation. This is Philanthropy and Focus. We'll be right back. Hey everybody, it's Tommy D, the nonprofit sector connector, coming at you from my attic. Each week here on talkradio.nyc, I host the program Philanthropy and Focus. Nonprofits impact us each and every day, and it's my focus to help them amplify their message and tell their story. Listen each week at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time until 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on talkradio.nyc.
Hi, I'm Linda Marcanico. The A Train to Sedona is a memoir about my journey to love and compassion. It's also the name of my new broadcast on Wednesdays at 12 noon. When we are spiritual, we embrace possibilities and ideas, which strengthen our mind, body, spirit, health, and wisdom. On the A Train to Sedona broadcast, I plan to interview guests who embrace these expansive practices. Join us on Wednesdays at 12 noon on Talk Radio New York City.
You're listening to Talk Radio NYC at www.talkradio.nyc. Now broadcasting 24 hours a day.
Nonprofits need connections to move in good directions. So cut through all the static. Join Tommy in his attic.
This is Philanthropy and Focus. The Daniela Conti Foundation is a 501c3 pediatric cancer foundation with a mission of providing financial assistance, raising awareness, and funding research to help kids fighting cancer. We have lived the battle with pediatric cancer. We understand what these families are going through. The help that we provide these families through our programs is a great resource when they need it most. Katya, tell me about this. Where was it that, was it early on? Did you know as shortly after Daniela lost her battle? Did you know that this is what you had to do?
I didn't have a choice, Tommy. My background, I had, as a mom, I had two choices. You have to remember this was during COVID when the whole world shut down. My husband and I had months to think about what we wanted to do. As a mother, you have two choices in life, and this time, what I was telling your story about is this was 4 years. This wasn't 4 weeks. This wasn't 4 months. This was 4 years of her life. And I'm happy that we got to share a lot of memories with her. She did her moving up ceremony. She made her first Holy Communion. I couldn't let it go. I had to do something, Tommy. I knew off the bat that, did I know she was going to pass away? No, I thought she was going to make it because of all the many relapses she had. And I had two choices. I had, I either said to myself and I turned around to my husband, either I sit around and do nothing about it, or I go out there and make a difference and share and, be her voice and an advocate, not only for her, but for other children now that are going through this horrible battle and disease and into the future, because people need to know not only her story, but the awareness. I knew nothing. Statistics wise, when they told me that my daughter was diagnosed with cancer, I was like, okay, she's going to make this. You have a positive mindset. She's going to make it. We're going to pull through it. What do we have to do? But when you go into this world and you're thrown into this world you know nothing about, with these chemo treatments that they're giving her and all these experimentals, protocols that they're throwing at her, it's like, I just couldn't let it go. Her story had to get out there. So my husband and I actually started this 501c3, I would say 4 months after she passed. It was right in the middle of COVID. I don't know, she was supposed to die, Tommy. That same year she was diagnosed because the doctor said, if you would have brought her in 2 days later, she would have been gone. But she fought for 4 years. And I think learning now through her death that we all have a purpose in life. And I think this was meant for my purpose to start this foundation, to share her story with the community and beyond, be her voice and say, hey, cancer is not rare. Every day, 47 children are diagnosed with cancer. Every day. That's 2 classrooms filled with children. And 1 out of 5 will die. will die because they run out of treatment options, just like my daughter did. So this is why I had no choice but to start this foundation. And I am so proud that I did because I couldn't have it any other way. No other way. And I'm just so passionate about it, and there is a purpose. And I think this was my purpose.
Well, I believe everything you're saying. I believe there's a purpose. Daniela had a purpose. She fought. You have a purpose, your family. And let's talk about what happens. You say folks don't know anything about this when they get this diagnosis, and all of a sudden they have, you know, doctors who mean well, who have done the science work, and they come to them with these options and right, chemotherapy or clinical trial or all these words that, while you're doing, maybe you had some context of it being that you work with Pfizer and maybe you're aware of some of this terminology and stuff, maybe more so than other people might be. How do you even give folks an understanding like, because now we're in shock, right? We just get this diagnosis. This is something we're dealing with, all the emotions and everything going on. And then there's got to be some kind of practical mindset of, okay, well, what do we have to do? How, when you work with other families, what does it even feel like? Does a family reach out to you and say, we just received this diagnosis and we're having financial trouble now because my spouse is now the primary caretaker, so can no longer go to work and is at the hospital and we need financing, or we need somebody to talk to just to understand things and get a context of what world we just entered, this new paradigm. What does that look like? How did these conversations start?
So, Tommy, when we started this foundation, our pillar of the organization was to one, obviously, provide financial assistance, right? Because a lot of people, you got to realize the last thing in this fight is people should not have to worry about money. Knock on wood, my husband and I had a great support system, but there came a time when we were in the hospital for about a month and you leave the hospital and you get this parking ticket that's like almost $1,000. What do you do?
Oh my
It's
God.
outrageous. It's
Yeah.
outrageous. And you go to your social worker and you try to find some resources that are out there that even can try to help alleviate some of those bills, even, putting food on the table because you don't have time to cook a home meal when you're home with your children. Back and you have to remember, this was 4 years, going back and forth to the hospital, to these doctors and clinics, the gas tolls add up,
All
you
the time,
know,
regularly though, for 4 years. That's
four
while
years, it kind
three
of,
little kids at home, right? So,
yeah,
your
what do you
daughter's two, then three, then four, right? And the boys are aging, right? So, this is this is hellish, man. This is tough.
Yeah, what do you do? The last thing you want to worry about is, oh my God, where am I going to get this money? You may have to remember, I was home. I had just resigned. My husband, knock on wood, had a great job, but you kind of still need that help, that little, push. So a lot of these outside costs, a lot of these people don't realize for coming from the outside world that this kind of all adds up. And it's like going to your social workers is someone that can help me. And, a lot of the foundations that, that they gave us helped, but not a lot. A lot of them I'm not going to mention, you had to make a certain amount of income. And I was like, what kind of family has the time, Tommy, to pull up their tax returns? And you're looking and you're trying to see, oh, her husband makes, a half a quarter $1 million or $1 million a year. You don't qualify. What kind of, family has the time to actually look for tax returns? So we came up with the financial, which is our in treatment support program, which is kind of like our financial assistance. And, any child that's diagnosed with cancer in the United States, you have to be diagnosed before 18. You qualify for financial assistance. And in our treatment program, we help with everyday living expenses, Tommy, meaning we help families cover their mortgage, cover their rent. We keep the lights on. We put gas in their car so they don't have to worry about where that money's coming from. Childcare. We had other children at home. Some parents don't have money to cover childcare. Well, one parent's on the bedside with their children. You got to realize the financial ripple effect of pediatric cancer is catastrophic. On average, pediatric hospitalizations of cancer costs, is almost 5 times as much as hospitalizations for other pediatric conditions, with an average cost, of a stay for a child with it being like $40,000 a year. Bills are being piled up, wages are lost. As a parent, who has to choose between being on their child's side or going to work every day? It's hard. So this is kind of why we started the financial assistance program, is to help families in this capacity. And how we, get these applications, and these families, we work every day with social workers, Tommy. We work with social workers. They refer us to the families. We work closely with hospitals here on Long Island. And now we've grown into helping families all across the New York State, New York tri-state area. That's how much we've grown in the last 4 years. And we work with social workers every day to help families that are in need of financial support.
So you feel that, have you developed a lot of relationships with these social workers, and they're the ones that reach out to you now as the organization?
Yes, a lot of the times we work closely with the social workers because they are the ones that know which families need help, especially. So we're on these resource lists and say, hey, the Daniela Conti Foundation, I know them, apply for an application. If you qualify and you're in active treatment, and we verify the application on the form that we've received, we review applications every Friday. You get a grant, and we provide a grant to a family. And we actually pay all the creditors, Tommy, we pay all the creditors, meaning if a family doesn't need help with the mortgage, rent, phone bill, keeping the lights on, we pay all the creditors. All the information can be found on our website. But if it's for food or gas, we send a grant to the family directly so they can use it at their discretion.
Got it. Okay. So food or gas, it's, a gift card, something like that, so they can go shopping. If it's a bill, something, a mortgage, rent, that sort of stuff, the foundation pays that directly.
Correctly. Yes. That's
So,
correct.
so aside from the financial resources, what other resources can folks count on?
We fortunately, we also help families with memorial cost. That's our memorial support, because we really didn't know at the time that our daughter was going to pass. We were optimistic that she was going to make it, and then when you find out that she's passing, you have to worry about a $10,000 to $20,000 memorial bill, from the funeral home. So we now also came up with a memorial support program. It's one of our other programs that we support families with whose a child has been lost due to a cancer diagnosis. And we work closely with the funeral homes here in New York and Long Island to kind of alleviate some of that burial bill, whether it's a plaque, an urn, or whatever the case may be. We help families in that capacity as well.
So that also sounds like some strategic relationships you've created here on Long Island with some of the funeral providers and things.
Yes.
And I'm assuming if I read, well, I'm going to read between the lines a little bit, but it sounds like they're doing some support, maybe some in-kind donations or discounts or things like that for families that come through, through your relationships and your network. Is that right?
Correct. Yes. We work closely with the funeral homes. We explain to them, this is the support that we can pay. When my daughter was diagnosed, we had a great funeral home here that provided us with, no cost at all, because we were in the community and they were family owned. And, we actually were lucky enough that they covered that bill, but we know what it's like. There are families that don't have that kind of support. So that's kind of where we step in that capacity, as well as help with funeral costs and work closely with the funeral homes here.
Yeah. So gang, go to the website, Dan, and I'm going to share it when we go to break on the video here. If you're only listening though, it's DanielaContiFoundation.org. I'll spell that out for you. Daniela, DanielaConte Foundation.org. DanielaContiFoundation.org. And as I look at it, Katya, your beautiful daughter, the butterflies keep coming out at me, and I'm like, it's unbelievable. It's uncanny. And when I went to the website this morning again, it all came back to me when I first saw your website, because the it's uncanny, the connection between the Lindy Lou Foundation with the butterflies and your foundation, and not exactly the same work, but similar work. So we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, what we're going to do is I want to find out how people can get involved, what you're looking for. I know you have several events throughout the year. I want to share that, and anything more you want to share about programming that people need to know. We're going to get into that when we come back. Katya Conti is with me. I'm Tommy D. This is Philanthropy and Focus. We'll be right back.
Were you an essential worker during the pandemic? If you needed to learn stages of epilepsy, did you depend on advocates? Did you use new innovations to cope with mental and neurological issues? Maintaining high quality of life and keeping good mental health are what we all strive for. I'm Frank R. Harrison, host of Frank About Health, And each week, top healthcare influencers, professionals, and innovators answer these questions and more. Stay tuned on Thursdays at 5 p.m. on talkradio.nyc, and I will continue to be frank about health with all of you.
Are you a conscious co-creator? Are you on a quest to raise your vibration and your consciousness? I'm Sam Leibowitz, your conscious consultant, and on my show, The Conscious Consultant Hour, Awakening Humanity, we will touch upon all these topics and more. Listen live at our new time on Thursdays at 12 noon Eastern Time. That's The Conscious Consultant Hour, Awakening Humanity, Thursdays 12 noon on talkradio.nyc.
You're listening to Talk Radio NYC at www.talkradio.nyc. Now broadcasting 24 hours a day.
Nonprofits need connections to move in good directions. So cut through all the static. Join Tommy in his attic.
We are back. Go to Daniela Conti Foundation to support the organization, DanielaContiFoundation.org to support, to learn more, to find out ways you can help, or just listen to what we're going to say next. Okay, let's do that. Let's say some more words. Katia, let's talk about what is upcoming. It is 2025. I like saying that. It's 2025, new things. What's coming up this year for you, and how can we help?
Yeah, 2025, we have big goals, Tommy, for the organization. Foremost, our we have major events, different events throughout the year that I want to talk about. Our first upcoming event is our 5th annual blood drive. So when my daughter was going through chemo treatments, she relied on blood transfusion and platelets, multiple blood transfusion, because that's kind of part of the pediatric cancer recovery. Some of these chemo treatments are brutal, and I would see like her discoloration. She was very tired. The multiple blood transfusions just, helped her recover from her treatments. So I decided every year, in honor of her memory, to host a blood drive, because it's important. It's important to give blood, not only for pediatric cancer patients, but for anyone who's, either critically ill or, gets into a car accident. People have to realize when you give blood, you save up to 3 lives. So we're coming up on our 5th annual blood drive, which is taking place on Saturday, March 1st from 11 to 5. It's hosted every year at our church, at St. Matthew's Church here in Dix Hills. Our goal this year is to hopefully get in over 100 donors in the door to give blood. You can find more information on our website. In the past year, we're so happy that people come out and donate from all over Long Island and New York. So I'm proud to say that, over the last 4 years, we have collected over 281 units of blood, and we have impacted over 843 local patients because of this blood drive.
I love that.
Um,
And I'm just sharing, sorry to interrupt, but I'm sharing this, gang, right on the website. If you're not watching us right now, go to the website and then just click on events. There's a drop down for events that says Blood Drive March. And I will make sure that I am there on Saturday, March 1st. And I will give blood because, as I shared with you, in my own world, blood is very important to some members of our family. Well, I mean, blood is important to all of us, isn't it? But it's the need for blood. So I'm committed to being there with you. And maybe there's a way where you and I can come up with an angle to get more folks in my world out there. How about this, gang? Listen up. If you're a friend of Tommy D's, I could use your favor. I could use a favor. I could use some of your blood. And you have to show up. You can't just send in your blood. I think there's procedures. And again, I have no medical training, Katia, but I don't think you could just send in blood. You must show up on March.
No, walk-ins are welcome, but there is a link. You can find it if you go on our website. On the top, it says sign up for our upcoming blood drive. Just make an appointment anytime between 11 to 5. I donate every year. Not everyone is able to donate blood, especially people who are anemic. There are trainees there, from the New York Blood Center. That's who we partner up with every year. They will ask you a couple of questions. They will take your blood pressure. I know that your levels have to be a certain number. So if you pass the test, it takes 5 minutes. You are able to donate. If you're O positive, if you're A positive, but just make an appointment. You never know until you get screened. And if you do pass, you will, hopefully be able to save 3 lives. So hopefully everyone who's seeing this will make an appointment and join us this year.
Is there going to be an opportunity that day where, as folks are there, you're going to be there to kind of educate folks on the organization and stuff as well?
Yes,
Yeah, is there
yes.
like ceremony? Is there anything about like, is there any conversation? Meaning, like, will you be addressing folks? I see as I just looked at making an appointment, the appointments start at 11 a.m. and go all the way to
All the way
4:45.
to 5.
Yeah, well, at 5
Yes,
o'clock. So,
yes.
tell me about that. What's that going to look like during the day?
Yeah, I will be there all day. I will have a table there, with DCF merchandise. People usually come and when they donate, they make a small donation to the foundation. This year, we're actually giving an incentive. So every donor this year, as a thank you, we will be giving a voucher for 2 complimentary tickets to any New York Islanders game in 2025 as a thank you for the last 5 years. For new donors and previous donors that have donated. I will have a table there. I will have my volunteers there. Any questions they have about the organization. We will also be promoting another event that we will be having in April. So yes, I will be all day there
Good.
all day.
So maybe we could do something where you and I figure out a way where I could be there, do something live and get people to come out. Let's talk about that offline. Let's go to so there are other events throughout the year more on the fundraising side of things. Let's talk about those.
Yeah, and then our biggest event that's coming up now is actually our 5th annual 5K, which is one of my favorite events. It's coming up on Saturday, April 26th. It's our 5th annual. It's a run and a walk. You don't have to be a professional runner to join. You can be, you can actually walk. We also have a fun run for the kids. It's a great, it's a great event for the kids. It's a quick dash. And what's so special about this event, Tommy, is we actually bring in a family every year and we honor medals, for not only children that are fighting in the community, but also survivors. And they come to this event and they just share their story about their cancer diagnosis and how our foundation has made a difference and an impact in their families' lives. The save the date will go out in about a week, which you can find on our website. There's sponsorship opportunities, which you can find more on our website. It's just a great event, just for the entire family, and not only for that, but also for the cancer survivors who are battling now this horrible disease.
I love and these medals that you give out are beautiful with the butterfly on there. Daniela's butterfly run, first annual 5K. So those are from the first year. Really, really special. Love the purple. I really, such an incredibly important story. Tell us about any other events that you might want folks to know about, or if there's specific needs, Katya, that you have right now that people can help out with.
Yeah, we also have we just had a 4th annual gala that we have at the Crest Hollow Country Club that Phil was part of last year, and hopefully he will be, more, coming. So we have that every year. Another important thing that I want to talk about, also mention, Tommy, is September. A lot of people don't realize that September is an important month for us here at the foundation. September is Pediatric Cancer Awareness Month. Just like, October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. So in September is Pediatric Cancer Awareness Month, and the color is gold.
Mhm.
That is the color that we use, and there's a whole story behind that. So we raise awareness, a lot of awareness in the community. I go and speak at schools. I try to also educate the youth, at these high schools, middle schools about childhood cancer and how they can make a difference and an impact in the community and beyond for these children now that are fighting in the hospital. So September is a huge, huge month. You can find out more information about what we do for the whole entire month of September with the schools, with our shoelaces. It's a 3rd annual shoelace campaign that we're doing in September, which you can learn more about. So that's another important month here at the foundation.
Tell me really quick about the shoelaces because I don't want people to go, what is she talking about? What does she mean shoelaces?
So, September, like I mentioned, is Pediatric Cancer Awareness Month, and the color is gold. gold. And the reason why we go gold is because there's a story behind it. Back in, I'm going to say it very quickly, back in 1996, there were a band of parents whose children were diagnosed with cancer. And because of the brilliancy and resiliency of these children, these parents all of a sudden came up with this color gold. So this color gold stuck with them throughout the entire year. So now every year in September, all, nonprofits, organizations in the pediatric cancer space, raise awareness for the color gold. I didn't know, Tommy, at the time when my daughter was diagnosed, what this was all about. I knew something about it, but I didn't know to that extent. So part of the organization is we raise a lot of awareness, not only just for September, but for the entire year. And my team and I came up with these gold shoelaces. And how can we educate the youth and get the high schools involved in the community to raise awareness? Because, like I said, all we see is, don't get me wrong, pink for October. And I'm like, why aren't these children raising awareness for child cancer? Because there's not a lot of knowledge out there, Tommy. There's not knowledge about, pediatric cancer, how every day 47 of children are diagnosed. So we give out every year 10,000 gold shoelaces to about 60 high schools here in Suffolk County. Our goal this year is to also work with the schools in Nassau County. So what they do with these shoelaces, Tommy, is they swap out their regular shoelaces, whether you're, in soccer or whether you're in lacrosse, you play lacrosse or soccer or volleyball, and they swap out their regular shoelaces with the gold shoelaces, and they wear them for the entire month of September to help us raise awareness for childhood cancer. And it also kind of sparks a conversation too, right? So for example, if you start wearing these shoelaces and someone says, "Hey, Tommy, why are you wearing gold shoelaces?" You say, "It's Child Cancer Awareness Month. I'm helping to raise awareness for this cause. Did you know that every day 47 children are diagnosed with cancer?" So it also kind of sparks a conversation about the disease and the awareness.
All right, 2 points on that. I need some gold shoelaces. I live in Nassau County. I know children in Nassau County. I have 4 of them, but in the community here, I'm sure we can get that. I would just ask, when September, it's kind of still nice out. I'm probably still wearing flip-flops. I might need gold flip-flops. We'll have to talk about that, you and I, like that's a separate thing. I don't know if you have flip-flops. I might just have to spray paint some flip-flops. I don't know. Or maybe I'll just have to put shoes on earlier in September. But all kidding aside, if I could make any kidding go aside, I am incredibly grateful to know you. I'm incredibly grateful for you to share this story with me. Daniela was a beautiful girl. You're living out her legacy. I appreciate you. Thank you to Anthony and you for all you're doing. Thank you to your other children. Thank you for your supporters. I appreciate you. I'm glad we made this friendship. I'm here to help. Reach out to me. Let me know how I can connect you to different resources and different people. Everyone, I appreciate you all checking in. This is Philanthropy in Focus. This is the new year, baby. 4 years we've been doing this. Unbelievable. Just keep going and keep doing the show. Thanks, everybody. This has been another In Focus production. Make it a great day. Thanks.
Thanks, Tommy.
Nonprofits need connections to move in good directions. So cut through all the static. Join Tommy in his attic.